Welcome to Viewpoints. I'm Heather Isveron, and with me today is Dr. Rich Douglas, Director for the Leadership Institute at the Department of Homeland Security University System. Welcome, Rich.
Well, thanks, Heather.
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you work in succession planning at DHS. Can you tell me how that's laid out for the average employee?
Sure. Succession planning is not only about replacing employees, but it's about growing employees and growing future leaders. So what we do is we look at delivering leadership and management and other training development opportunities at all levels, really literally from cradle to grave, from the time somebody comes in the department until the time they're a senior leader. And in fact, even after they leave the department, we still stay in touch with a lot of our leaders to help grow that community.
And so if somebody were to look at a career in public service, what do you think would be the carrot or the thing that might entice them the most?
I think the opportunity to have a lot of impact, even early in your career, it's surprising to me throughout my career in federal service, the amount of responsibility that employees have, even at all levels.
And so what would make a good public servant?
I think first, a calling, a feeling that serving the people of the United States and the government that supports them is key. That's just the context, however. Then good employees, solid employees bring good technical skills and good interpersonal skills. And then what we do is try to build upon those by building in good leadership skills so that they can build their own abilities, but also the abilities of others.
So as a person works their way up the career ladder as in DHS, how does DHS identify a good leader?
Well, first we start with technical skills. I think in order to be effective as a leader, you have to be good at what you do. But beyond that, you have to have the ability to shape the work and to prepare people to perform. So what we're looking for are people who have good interpersonal skills and who have a desire to be involved with the careers and with the performance of the people they lead.
I'm just curious, what is the workforce of the Department of Homeland Security?
216,000 professionals working in a variety of specialties in more than 24 agencies and components all across the country and literally around the world. It's a little hard to put it all into one capsule.
I'm sure. And so what would you say the greatest need is in that workers pool now?
Clearly leaders at all levels. It's not enough to wait for somebody to be a senior manager or even an executive in order to start concentrating on their leadership abilities. We want people to lead even from followership positions. The work that they do, the energy that they bring, the willingness to share their knowledge with other coworkers, those are great leadership behaviors, and we want to tap into that early but also grow that throughout their careers.
What are the biggest issues for the Department of Homeland Security in terms of succession planning?
Well, the Department of Homeland Security is no different from any other government agency or any private business or academic institution, for example. We're facing this huge bow wave of the baby boomers heading off to retirement. Now, we don't know if they're all going to retire when they're eligible to retire, but it's something we face. Now, a lot of people think in terms of replacement planning. In other words, oh no, I might have an opening, I have to fill it. Succession planning is a little bit deeper. It's not just about filling positions. It's about preparing people to fill positions, preparing them technically, preparing them in their leadership skills, preparing them in the context, in the culture of their work environment. And to do that we need to be doing that all the time and doing that for people at all levels of service.
Now, I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you about DHS, but you've worked in many different types of work environments.
Yes.
So in terms of succession planning, what percentage of people do you think are adequately, or companies are adequately prepared with succession planning scenarios?
Well, the literature shows us that not a lot of companies are fully prepared. Many companies talk about it, and some companies do some things to help them with succession planning. But the most effective organizations are the ones that are preparing today's leaders for tomorrow's challenges and literally having people work at higher and higher levels of responsibility without necessarily promoting them or bringing them up in the organization yet, because that's the best way to know that somebody's prepared to move up, is that they're already performing at that level. But that also means doing the education and training necessary to prepare them, both in their specialties, but also in those other leadership skills and even some of the intangibles.
And what are some of the most common mistakes that people would make in terms of laying out a succession plan for DHS or other companies?
I think one of the things that organizations make the mistake of is dealing with the immediate need. Oh my goodness, somebody's leaving, we have to find that replacement. Yes, that's true, but that's a decision that probably should have been made 6 months, 9 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years earlier. The fact is, people come into your organization, they work, and they leave. And if you're not prepared for that kind of natural turnover, then you're going to constantly be in reaction mode, crisis mode, trying to put out the fire because somebody that you thought was absolutely critical to the mission took another opportunity. This happens all the time. So succession planning, planning on replacing people in positions needs to be a routine part of your training and development and your human capital management efforts.
And can you give me a final example of where that's worked in the Department of Homeland Security in a real positive way?
Well, in the Department of Homeland Security's University System, we are building out a multi-tier leadership program where we are offering leadership development, not just to supervisors, not just to managers or even executives, but team leaders, employees who are not yet supervising, but have a tremendous impact on the people that they work with, and on the everyday employee himself or herself, teaching employees how to be stronger in managing their own careers, doing the things that make them stronger and stronger employees so that when it is time to step into leadership positions, that's not when the development begins. It's already happened and they're ready to go. So we're building out programs that reach to people from GS1 through GS15 and the senior executive service with the idea in the long run that people will travel on those paths. Now, not everybody's going to travel on that path. We're going to see people who leave DHS. Some people even will leave and come back. But the fact is that even while they're at DHS, the investment that we put in them, in their own training and development, will pay off dividends while they're employees. And if they go off to be even more effective somewhere else, I hope that they take our message with them.
Great, great stuff. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.